So I'll start recording. Oh, it's all right. Hey, my name's Phil the Cruz. Welcome to Cruising with Phil. My first year anniversary, and my first year anniversary returning guest is Sarah Climenhaga. I get your name right, eh, Sarah?
You good. You got it perfectly.
I know. So welcome back. You know what? This is your legacy, right? You created
Uh-huh.
this. People don't know this. When you ran for mayor last year with me last year, not 2022, you did an audio podcast, right?
Yes.
I mean, you did it. It was a video, but you just recorded the audio, right? And I
Right.
asked you toward the end of the election, you gave me and you said, always get back to the people that followed you and tweeted you and, as a courtesy. So I did it. So I created this because of what you said. I said, it's a good idea. I'm going to go on my list of followers and tweets and people that have businesses, local stuff, interview them and just say thank you. And that's how I started because of you. So this is maybe people will say, what's your legacy? You start something, how it's going to end. Well, this is it. This is your legacy. A year later, I'm on a podcast, Cruising with Phil, because of you. You're inspiration. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you, Phil. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's I think all of us have something to say and are interested in the world out there, and we all have a unique perspective. So it's great for you, for you to be doing this is great. That's your way of getting one of your ways of getting your voice out there.
Yeah, I've been watching your philosophy videos the last few weeks there. Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask,
So
sorry, go ahead.
no, you go, Phil.
I was gonna ask you, last time we left off, you were working on a book. How's the book coming?
Right. Yes, I'm still working on it. I'm working on a book about the nature of reality, and basically, it's looking at all the evidence we use to understand our world, like everything from history and science to our own identities, to what we understand about life and death. So it's looking at all the evidence, and then it's saying, does it hold up to scrutiny, basically? And what I'm finding is uh, there's no super solid evidence to support anything that we believe. So, which means we don't have to travel through life kind of constrained by things that we think are true. We can really just live our life according to what is feeling true and what we're experiencing as true in the moment, not just what we read here or have expectations there or whatever. So it's a very broad ranging book because I'm looking at evidence from all sorts of different places. And I'm looking at big concepts like life and death, like separation, like control. And I want to just finish it. And for some reason, it's taking me a very long time to do. So it is in progress, but I guess I haven't given it, there's so many things that I want to do. There's so many things in life that I enjoy. It's very hard for me to set aside a dedicated block of time to do and work. A book takes a pretty big block of time. I mean, I could probably just finish it this week, but it would have all these holes in it. And
Yeah,
I want to fill in all the holes. So
it's funny what you said about the that's set things. Take things. So I'm thinking of like a tour book. You read this tour books. You go on a country and you go on this
yes.
tour, right? Like I went to Egypt the first time and I did a tour book, but I got away from tour books. So like the things that happened to me, like a lot of things happened to me that were not even part of the book, and it's just amazing. So like if you're going to fix thing of a tour, it's like life. Life's a tour book,
Yes.
right? But don't go by the tour. Don't go by the guides, right? Like you say, you never know what's going to happen, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy. Like, because you can use the tour guides and the tour book as help, like it'll help you stay out of, say, an obstacle. But if the tour guide only says one thing is good, and you look at that and you miss all the other things because
Yeah,
they're not mentioned in the tour book, or there's something in the tour book that they say, this is the most important thing ever, but your experience is, I don't know, I don't really like it that much. If you're kind of thinking, if you're only going by the tour guide, you're missing the real world. And the
yeah,
tour book was written, maybe it's a recent one, maybe it's 5 years out of date, maybe it's 10 years out of date. And a lot of our knowledge, for most of us, is out of date.
yeah,
History, science, like so much of our knowledge is out of date. Even our experts, they're often out of date.
yeah.
So we just want to use information that we know as kind of a guideline, but not as the only way we move forward. So I think that's a really good analogy, Philip. I really like it.
I went to the my first year. I went to the I studied hieroglyphics for my first trip. How to read the ancient language, just something I
Uh-huh.
wanted to do. I like languages, So when I went to like tourists, like you go in the morning, you go 9 o'clock in the morning to all the museums because that's the best time. It's nice and cool. So I didn't go part of the tour. I went on my own, and the tours go to the main things like King Tut exhibit, the main the main attractions. But I spent the whole day in the museum going through every exhibit, and there was half the rooms were empty. And you know what? I said if I was part of that tour, I would have missed all that, all the stuff I
Right.
studied, all the all the not the mummies, but all the monuments and the languages and all the things that are in my textbook. I said I saw that in my textbook, not part of a tour. Like you said, being on my own, doing your own thing. And I said, you know what? I was like, I felt sorry for all the people on tours. Like, you're missing all this information, the history of mummification, the whole analogy, and the whole mortification, the whole history, how it's progressed from ancient to modern. Yeah, so I saw that. I spent the whole day in the museum. It was amazing, and I said, I'm
Wow.
glad I'm part. Like I said, don't be part of the tour. You're gonna miss so much, and they miss so much. I tell people this all the time. Don't go on a tour when you go to museum. Just go check it out.
Yes.
Life can't be so standard, right?
Yes. Perfect. Totally perfect. It's a great, like, you might join the tour for half an hour or and get some of the basics if they're offering it, but as your experience in that museum is going to be different from everybody else's
Yeah,
experience. And you're even going to pick up different information, and it's going to impact your life differently. And as long as you're open and trusting your own senses and experience, then you can really get so much out of your individual tour rather than just what you get from the standard one.
you ever said about the we're outdated with information and technology and feedback and all. I was gonna ask you a question with in your journey with philosophy and all the stuff you've been doing with videos. Have you found that when you're doing your videos about philosophy and life, what they say in general and what's set as a standard, what you have to follow and read, it's totally different from what you're accepting as life and going on?
Yeah. So say that again, Philip,
I'm
in a
sorry,
different way.
I talk fast sometimes.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
so you read a book, right? You're just like your some of your stories in your videos, like you talk about your water situation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I found that interesting that we're so set about our comforts of water and all this stuff, and sometimes when you take it away, we don't get a panic. We're just so used to that convenience, and then we have to
Right.
make up for that loss temporary, and then we have to you'd be surprised of the human body and the mind is capable. I think if we just get rid of all of the conveniences, we can expand our mind and horizon, what we can do and we're capable of doing. If our ancestors lived all those years without water, without electricity, and fields and migrates and tell the sun and stars without the measurements, we can do the same thing. We're just so convenient. You're just so used to all this convenience of technology, right? Like that's what I like.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
like you remember you worked as a forest ranger, I think, in your I can't remember your interview. You worked in
Biology and
yeah,
environmental
yeah. So
studies.
you know about
Yes.
nature and all that. So you see the big difference between out there and back in the city, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. No, what you're saying about what we're used to versus what we're capable of is really big. And I think, you were referring to when I lost power, lost our water heater. And so at first, it was really difficult just imagining, and we didn't think we could get it fixed for 5 days. So I was like filling up all our
Yeah.
water and having a stage and thinking about the toilets, and then I was thinking about, oh my gosh, our house, like it's not sufficient, it's not self-sufficient. We're so dependent on all these external circumstances, the city. And um, but after that adaptation phase, it was like, okay, well, we're still alive. There's a lake nearby, there's neighbors around,
And you
there's
swim.
yeah, there's oh, that's right. So it was very like we're actually it's really lovely to have our conveniences, and they do make our life easier, but they aren't all necessary. Like, yes, we need water, but do we need running water? Do we need like as much of it as we use? Do we need it available in the same way? Do we need to dump things down it? Like all the different ways we use water. And when we're faced with a situation that challenges us, then we can discover what else is possible. And so it was both freeing to just be like, okay, well, just to shake up life. Like we do so much on autopilot, and our life is just it's so bounded by all the ways we've been doing things. But not having water was like, oh, this is shaking things up. Like this day is different than other days. And so that's one benefit of things when you lose one of your conveniences. But the other benefit is then when we got it repaired, and it didn't take 5 days, we managed to get it repaired earlier.
Oh, good.
Then we appreciate it. Now I'm looking at that water like, oh, that's great. You know, and also I'm looking at it as something we have today. You know, what we have, we don't necessarily know that we have it forever. We don't
Yeah.
have to worry about losing it, but we can appreciate this is what we have right now. And then what we have tomorrow, tomorrow will tell us.
Oh,
So
really?
it's a lot of what I'm doing right now with my Instagram, with what I'm, you know, sharing online is trying to free us from our expected thoughts, the kind of the things that we think over and over and over again that keep us constrained, just like the conveniences of modern life have us living a certain type of life. And so when you look at it, so when I look at, oh, the water's gone, okay, let me look at life without running water. When we look at life without our automatic thoughts, we can also find a lot of freedom there. So
You know, I like
that's what
about
I'm
your,
kind of sharing.
what I like about your videos, which I really, and I believe that is being the honesty of your videos. Like you're showing the pros and the cons, but you say your frustration, your anticipation. You know, you're showing the, because we all, you know, like this whole election thing, we put on this, the well-known celebrity put on the fronts of being the perfect answer, sitting in the perfect office, being the perfect interview. But you and me, like you know, like you're talking like we don't have, we miss that in that reality of anything in election, like anything you're running for office, people want to see that. They want to see the reality of you, like you know, doing it out. Not that you have got it all, you got it all together. You're like the perfect candidate, or you're the perfect, you know, like it shows that we all have flaws. We're not perfect, and we all have mistakes. And we do make mistakes, and also we deal with that. And people, I think people like I've got a lot of feedback. People watching your blog, your actually your blog too, earning your blog. That's another one I want to get into. But when your videos, you do your videos, people say, "Hey, she's so real." That's what I'm feeling. I mean, you're not. That's what that's missing in the election. Reality of you know not being perfect. We can make mistakes and we can accept it. We can move on. I love that. That's what I like about
Yes.
your video. I love you. What got you in the look? Because you've been quiet for a while. What got you doing the videos in the first place on the Instagram? Like,
What gave me the idea to do
yeah, I'm just
videos?
kind of curious. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of I've launched my a practice, like a professional practice where I will work one-on-one with people or in workshops on examining our the causes of our stress, basically. And so I'm trying to let people know about what I'm doing. I'm trying to let them know that there is a different way of handling stress than most of us handle it. It's not just about you know, finding a way to cope with stress. It's finding the cause of stress and dealing with the cause so that we feel better. So we're free of the pain of stress. So that's what I'm offering as a professional. And, you know, in the olden days, then I would just maybe take out an ad somewhere or the yellow pages or whatever. And now there's this whole digital realm, and Instagram seems to be where a lot of the action is happening. I think there is obviously web Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. There's so much,
Yeah.
but Instagram is an area that was unfamiliar to me. And so many people were recommending it to me, particularly in the area of kind of wellness and mental health and philosophy, that I felt like Instagram was a good place to start. So that's what my videos are, and my posts are all about this, my perspective on the world and how I look at stress and what I can offer. So that's how I came up with it. And again, reels seem to be a very popular medium right now, short videos. So I'm trying my hand at it, and it's a definite learning curve. And that's one of my videos that you probably saw was me talking about this recurring belief, which was
Yeah.
people are going to think I'm stupid. You know,
Yeah.
like
I
it's
saw that. I saw I counteracted your what you said. What it's stupid. People think you're
yes, that was
stupid.
very kind of
Yeah.
you.
And then
But
I got kind of mad. I'm like, who's calling her stupid? Give me their names.
well, and that's the thing is no one is calling me stupid, you know, at least not with these videos. And but I don't know about you, but when I go to post something, if I'm like worrying too much about what I'm going to look like, what people are going to think, it
Okay.
makes it really hard to communicate. But when you're free and just like, hey, I want to do a podcast, I want to do a video, I want to write a blog, and I just have something to share, and it's up to other people what they think. You're so much freer and you have much better expression. So I wanted to use that thought. What happens to me if I'm believing, oh no, I can't post this because people will think I'm stupid, or you know, I have to make the perfect video,
Oh
otherwise
yeah,
people will
back to the
think I'm
perfection. Yeah,
stupid.
yeah, yeah.
Then if I can look at that thought and question it, suddenly I can be relatively free. I don't have to worry about that aspect. I can just do my video and put it out there, and I can free the audience to pay attention to it or not. So it's just yeah, so that was like one of those things that I was looking at, how our thoughts affect us, and learning something new. Our thoughts, it's really great to learn something new. Even if you fail a million times, it's so great to try. But if your thoughts are telling you, I can't fail, or failing makes me look bad, or failing makes me look stupid, or failing means I'm not a good person, then you're not going to be able to learn new things. But if those thoughts are, if you're free of them, then the world is your oyster, because
Yeah.
you cannot go wrong.
Yeah. So if you just make a mistake, you make a mistake, you kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm not perfect.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I know,
Yeah,
but yeah, image is so important in these days of, like TV and media and the perfect song or the perfect audition or whatever. It's just funny.
yeah,
I find it daunting that there's so much media spurred on our youth. Like a lot of my nephews and nieces and my cousins, they see all this and like we get into arguments, debates, and they get wrong. Unfortunately, they're wrong with something. They get so uptight about it. Like my cousin, they go, "What do you get uptight? So you're wrong. No big deal. Nobody's watching you. They're not on TV like before. You make a mistake. Believe me,
right,
you will make many mistakes in life. You've been
right.
through it, and you learn from them, right?
And even, even the biggest celebrities, right, who people are watching, if they make a mistake, yeah, lots of people see, but then the public moves on. There's always another celebrity, there's always
Yeah,
another thing. And so I think we can kind of forget that other people's lives don't revolve around us. Like
yeah,
I'm thinking about me most of the time.
yeah.
If someone else says something that I don't like, I might have 1 minute of thinking, oh, I don't like what they said, or I'm mad at them. But then I'm going to move on straight back to me. So that person doesn't need to worry about my opinion, because my opinion does not affect their life. So it's the same with us, whether it's image or anything. And I just think, like you mentioned the mayoral election, and there were a lot of us who were being real,
Yeah.
primarily the smaller candidates, but we were real. And Chloe, who did very well in that election, she was also real. But she had a kind of to me, a bit of a fighter attitude that really resonated with a lot of people who were angry about the way things are. But I think often the people in the top levels, they don't seem that real. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily know what's, so much is scripted, right? The way speeches are written, or media addresses, or the way politicians answer questions, like so much is scripted. And same with celebrities, even like hockey players, and you're asking them mid-game, what are they thinking? Or football players, like so much of what we share with the world is scripted, because we're afraid of what will happen if we show our true selves. And so I like to show my insecurities, my worries, my fears, so that people see, yeah, I'm not pretending to be perfect. And so you don't have to either. And
Yeah.
what a much more relaxing world if you could say, something stupid, and move on with your life, instead of keeping quiet because you're always afraid you're going to say something stupid.
There's
It's so much
two
more
things.
like,
Yeah, there's two things you just touched on. The first one was about the like running for the election. Well, certain people criticize us for everything we did running for the election, right? So
right.
yeah, we know what you're talking about, people, level people, right? My always question is like, who are you that I answer to you? Like, who are you to me that your opinion is so much that I have to value your opinion? I mean, I appreciate your opinion, but I'll take it as foresight, not as insight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
yeah, and that's like the thing. Like you got criticized, I get criticized. Like we all get. It's a part of the election process, right? But the thing is, you got to remember that we don't answer to anybody but ourselves and the people that vote for us, or will hope to. And then getting that perfection, being that perfect answer, right? And people don't, like you
Yes.
said, like being interviewed like the hockey player, like and they come. There's this fear that if I say the wrong thing during a responsive interview, like it's gonna come back and bite me in the end. That fear is there. I've seen that with
Yes.
celebrities. Like I didn't say that. And then they go, "Oh, we quoted you." Like makes me laugh when you say, "I quoted you back 15 years ago. You said this." Well, I was a different person back then. People change, right? But for some
Yes.
reason they hold it against them, like but you said that back then. Like even some of the known celebrity candidates that are in the council, they got their past brought up in front of their faces, and I was like, that's like 20 years ago. Like every
Right.
people, but for some reason, like they're gonna hold you to that what you said back then.
Yes.
You know, it's part of life. I mean, I always say, did you make a mistake back then 20 years ago that you want to talk about? Well, what's the big
Right.
deal? You know?
It's true. And it's funny because politicians get criticized sometimes when they change their mind. They're called
Yeah.
flip-flops. But again, the world is always changing, and it should be more concerning if we don't change our minds than if we do. I mean, we'd like to know that our politicians are changing their minds for good reasons. They've found new evidence or something's changed. You don't want them to just be thinking that they just go according to public opinion. Although even there's some legitimacy to changing your mind according to public opinion if you're supposed to represent the public.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that 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 not being able to speak truthfully or clearly, because you might make a mistake, you might say something wrong, is really like, it doesn't need to. We don't need to be so concerned. And if everybody started doing it, then mistakes would be a part of life. Like, mistakes would be part of life, but they're still a part of life now, but they're just invisible. We don't
Yeah.
really see
Yeah.
them. We see the repercussions. But if they were just out in the open, oh yeah, I just said something stupid. Yeah, I did. And not like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person and let's have a huge big thing about it. It's just like, oh yeah, I don't know why I said that. You're right. It was hurtful. Or it was inaccurate, or like, that's okay. It's human to make mistakes. And you were talking about the critics during elections, and what I found was, when people criticized me, if it hit a part of me that I was insecure about, then I would get upset.
Yeah.
But if it hit a part of me that, like, if it didn't bring up anything for me, I was like, that's fine. Like, a few people called me crazy and I was like, okay, maybe I am crazy, I don't know, but it doesn't bother me. I just was like, okay, that's their viewpoint. Whereas, when someone said you're not entitled to run, who are you to run? That hit me because I have my own insecurity. Like, well, am I entitled to run? Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't a corporate leader. Like, maybe I'm not entitled to run, even though I really felt I was. There was still part of me that was all that just little bit of nervousness. So it was sort of almost good if a critic said something that made me find my own inner insecurity, because then I could look at it and be relieved of it and realize I am entitled to run. Yes, absolutely I am. And then the next time, if they say that again, it's like, cool, they can think that. Everybody has a different view of who's entitled, who's not, who's qualified, who's not, who's making too much noise, who's not speaking loud enough. Everyone has their opinion and they're all entitled to it. And it will never hurt us if we're not in some way believing it.
Yeah.
So
Like
that
back
helped
then,
me
it's like,
with criticism.
yeah, like, because I always say to myself, like, same people that criticize using me, I was like, why do I answer to you? Like, you're not in politics. You never run before. You never done any community work, but for some reason I always try to look at their perspective and why they do things, like why they feel that they have to, like, attack you for no reason at all. Like,
Uh-huh.
they've been involved in the political game, but yeah, but you haven't been in politics. You're just out on the outside looking in, right? Like, I mean, I respect you for that, but like, I can never be like that. I always view myself as, I can't go and say, well, Sarah, you're no good. Like, hi, you're crazy, and I can't talk like that in
Yeah,
public. I just call that verbal abuse. It's
right.
called verbal abuse. There's different strands of verbal abuse in many ways. It can be subtly on a piece of paper, or in an indirect way coming back at you, through another person. That's called, yeah. I mean, abuse is, like, we didn't even use the word abuse. I said, sorry, you're being verbally abusive to me. I told a guy a couple weeks ago, he was being verbally abusive on the phone. He's one of the candidates running for by-election. He was like, just nasty. I said, buddy, I don't need any of your verbal abuse. You want my help, the advice how to help in your campaign, but you don't be verbally abusive about it. I'm not being verbally abusive. Well, you are. You don't realize how you're talking to people, and that's just.
Right.
And then he had to sit back and take a moment for himself. Then he apologized, but he still went on the same way anyway. So
Yeah.
it's kind of okay, defeats the purpose, right? So you just you don't want to change people, but you just want to see show a different perspective, like how you are, because it becomes second nature when you're criticizing a person for 20 years, 30 years, saying, oh, she's back for a third term running election. Okay, I'm gonna attack her. Like, for me as a person, like you, I don't know how you think, but I think I can't be like that. I can't, like, keep attacking somebody for the last 10 years they've been running for an election or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but I always say, where's it getting me inside as a person? Do I feel better making them feel less? That's what I
Right.
always think. I always say people that are abusive and have to abuse people and have to be nasty are just, I'm going to be direct, are just insecure within themselves. Something inside them has to tell they attack somebody to make them feel less, to make them feel better inside, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Our ego, like our ego is always looking, is always living in comparison. So if we're afraid someone's above us, then the temptation can be to try and take them down. So we're up. So
Yeah.
we're always like, oh, we're better or we're worse. There's not a, and that's just the ego. Whereas the reality is we're all, we're all human beings. We're
Yep.
all equal in that way. So yeah, if someone's trying to take someone else down, that's just from a misguided place that doesn't have to affect us personally if we don't take it on.
And sometimes they can have an inner resentment, like saying like you're at this part of your life in your career, and I resent you the way you are because I want to be in that situation, but I don't want to get that. I don't go that way, so I'd rather just put you down to be at my level, to make them feel better. And I've seen that through a lot of people. I mean, unfortunately, it happens. I was going to talk about your blog,
Yes.
yeah. You're gonna get. I love when you get your modes of writing. You can just see it flowing. You know the way What tell people what your blog is.
Well, I mean, I do a blog on Substack, and it's been a lot of policy ideas. When I was running for mayor, it was a lot of politics. And then since then, it's been a little bit more philosophical. And what I try to do with my blog is look at usually some kind of either current event or just relatable situation, a situation in life, a concern, and try and take a different perspective on it. And the most recent one I did was on artificial intelligence, because everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. And I've just realized myself what it can, some of what it can be used for. I don't know all of it. And I'm realizing what a hugely powerful tool it is. Like I'm directly realizing that. And it really made me think of, wow, well, what's the role for the human being when artificial intelligence is here? And it seems to me, the way we used to live, where we were very much, our hands were everything, whether we were planting food or making furniture or repairing our roof, like people had real life things that they did with their bodies and a real connection to each other through talking and hugging and raising children. There was a lot of humanity in the way we lived. Today, the way we live, there's not a lot of humanity if you don't go out and seek it. You can really be online. Your food can be processed in a
Oh yeah.
factory that's mostly automated. Your transportation is a lot of machines. So as machines, kind of eliminate the need for the human, and now we're at this stage where the machines are eliminating the need for even human writing or like even this conversation. If you were just doing this podcast to have a podcast, if it wasn't because you wanted to participate in it, but you were just like, oh, I want people to see Philip Cruz's podcast, eventually, not too far from now, you could feed it into AI. You could be like, take Sarah Climenhaga's image, take her voice, take the kind of things she would say, put it together with my image and my voice and the kind of things that I would say, make a podcast. AI could generate that podcast. So for so much that we could be replaceable, but to me, it's an opportunity because then we can go back to being humans, like being back to just getting together with each other and digging in the dirt or writing, just writing for the joy of it. Again, my blog, I could just publish my blog from now on with ChatGPT. I
Yeah.
never have to write it again.
You do like a whole book of your blog, right?
Yes, I could write my book. Like I don't have to write my book. I can get ChatGPT to write it. So when there's no kind of need, no kind of drudgery element, like, oh shoot, I have to do this. It's like, no, you don't have to do it. ChatGPT can do it. Then it's like, oh, well, then I'm writing my book for the joy of it, like, because I have something I want to tell and I'm going to put it out there. ChatGPT could write a book, but I'm doing this because I want to write a book. So to me, it brings back hopefully the joy of choice into human activity, because we just don't need to do a lot of what we're doing anymore, either professionally or personally. And so now we get to choose what we do instead of having to do it. And I
Wait,
think
so
there could be lots of upheaval in various areas, but to me, that's the one interesting thing is we've tried to merge with machines, but
Yeah.
why don't now we can kind of almost separate a little bit more,
Like
maybe.
the
So
whole,
that's the kind of thing I write about in my blog, is all sorts of philosophical
like
stuff.
automation, the whole automation process. Like I was at Walmart talking to these two senior citizens. They said, I don't like machines. And we have this whole list of everything's automated, like self checkouts, libraries of self checkouts,
Yes,
all this, everything's automated. Like everything you do, like even like during the COVID, like I paid a whole bunch of bills. I didn't even go to the bank. I did everything online. There's no
right.
interpersonal back and forth. Just writing back. So I'm making a joke. So I hope it doesn't get so bad that everything's automated. So the next time when you hug your son, I said you press a button, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what brings it back to us is, well, okay, fine, we could make things fast, but at what point are we going to realize, oh, we want human connection? And then maybe we'll come back out. And maybe we're not going to hire everybody as bank tellers and supermarket checkout clerks again, but maybe we'll start finding ways to bring humans together just for the sake of being together. Now that if we don't need to be together in an employer relationship, or retail clerk and customer, if that kind of isn't necessary anymore because it can be replaced, now human to human connection can be done just for the sake of human connection. So I think that, what will come out of that, I think could be really neat.
I used to work on when I was posting in Alberta. We used to get posted working on farms. Like there was a little bit of drought, and we used to go. They called on us to help out. We'd like 30 of us helping. It was amazing. No computers, no technology, just hand dirt, just following the orders, what you get done. Like it was like hours of work and just getting your hands dirty and communicating, talking back and forth. At the end of the day, we go to have coffee or a meal, but it was just no technology around. That's kind of neat. I think
Yes.
you know what you should do in the high schools? But and they have to take these co-op courses like to working and all that stuff. They should do like farming. Go work in the field
Right.
or something. Go work in a soup kitchen or a food bank. That part of the
Right.
process. Put that as and go see the reality of how people live instead of just what you see and study. Like say your
Yes.
son or like my nephews will have to take a course part of the co-op before they graduate. They gotta work at a food bank or a soup kitchen 30 hours and they gotta see. They gotta, work hard and see what it's like. Not just everything's automated with cell phones and everything, everything's on handed to you. It's really funny because I was on the subway the other day. I was reading War and Peace. I read it once in a while. So I'm reading War and Peace with the book in my hand. And everybody's on. I have a cell phone, but I was reading my book. And everybody's like, I was looking around like everybody has a cell phone, right? And the senior couple got on the subway and they sit beside me and said, they were like, "Wow, you're actually reading a book. What do you read?" I said, "War and
Yeah.
Peace." And they read it too. So we started talking to the last 20 minutes of my subway ride. I was like, funny how technology is. We used to get on the bus and read books, do crosswords, and and write notes. Now it's all cell phones and all, right? This is funny.
Yes.
But when they said that, wow,
Yeah.
you're actually reading a book. It's not so funny. You're reading a book. I mean, like, to me, I was reading. It's not a big deal. But when somebody says like, "Wow, you're reading a book," I said, "Yeah, it's funny."
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think what you point about education, I think that's a really good idea, actually. And I do hope that now that education, like so much of the way education is done today, so much of it could be done by AI. Writing essays, exams, AI can do that. Marking papers, AI can do that. Producing content that's the same content that they've learned, in the education, AI can replace all that. So if we want from our kids is to learn resilience and to understand how to interpersonal relationships, like it may come a point when the education system says, oh, okay, it's like there's not, like it's too easy for uh students to cheat with ChatGPT if we give them a straight up essay. So we can't assess them with these mains anymore. So now what's a way of teaching that AI can't replicate? And that would be what you're pointing out. Go work in a food bank, go be at a farm, go create a garden. Like there's so many things that there's no cheating, there's no getting AI to do
Yeah,
it. So I
just
would
hands
love for
on.
our education system to do that with our kids. I think it could be really enriching, and I think we would raise a generation of kids who would be a lot more equipped to deal with a changing world if they just learned interpersonal skills, interacting with the environment. So
I got two
I
questions.
see we have like
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna because I got two big questions I want to ask you. But you want to do another session, or you want to wait for another time? I don't want to. I don't want to end of the year for to get you back on the show.
Well, why don't we just ask me your last question? I'll answer it,
Okay,
and then
the two
we'll
questions is,
follow up.
you ever thought of doing lectures with your what philosophy in life, or just like hand-to-hand lectures rather than just one-on-one conversation with people? And my next question is, I forget the other question about doing your own video channel like I do.
Yeah, well, definitely lectures. I love public speaking. I love that part of the
Yeah, you're
mayoral
good.
election.
You're real. I learned from you actually all your way you speak and all. Do your,
Thank
when
you.
I get on
Yeah.
when I first got on, I was like nervous. Like, oh, so I still get nervous going on there. Like, it's a
Yeah.
show, but I'm nervous, sweaty palms and
Yes.
all that. Like, but
Yeah.
you do it naturally. Like, you're good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do love public speaking. So really, that's part of my, I guess, work on social media is to try and get out there and to offer what I'm doing to people. And maybe I could organize my own event, or maybe someone
Yeah, I
will,
think it'd be amazing.
learn of me and invite me. So yeah, totally interested in public speaking and giving lectures. And the same with a video channel. I do have a video channel that I had started in my first mayoral election. So it's on there, and I've started putting videos of my practice using this thing called The Work by Byron Katie. It's a philosophical practice of looking at your thoughts. And I am now putting videos on there as well.
Oh, good.
So yes, it's all a matter of time. As you
Yeah,
know, this
yeah.
stuff takes
I
time.
got a minute and 42 seconds. Do you want to do another session, or are you gonna hold it for now?
I think we'll hold it for now. I've got
Okay.
a bunch of kids and family around for Christmas, so getting everything ready for
All right.
that. So
Yeah. So
yes.
your son's back from college, right?
Yes, he's my oldest son is home. My daughter's back for her Christmas break from university, and my youngest child is in high school. So everyone's around. I have family in from out of town,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, lots
Okay,
going
so
on.
I'll just end it for I got a minute left. So I just want to say thank you so much, Sarah. You got a recording too, so I'm gonna record my set. Do you want me to send you a
Yes.
copy anyway, just in case it doesn't turn up for your
No,
side? Or
that's okay. This will be
yeah,
fine. Yeah.
yeah. So I
But you
got
can
that.
send me the link when you post it. That'd
I'll
be
do it.
great.
Yeah, so I'll put it on my face on the channel there, and thank you. I hope I don't have to wait another year to get you back. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, give
No,
me
it's
a
great.
call.
It's great having you back. Yeah, I love it. You're my first returning guest for my second anniversary or my first year anniversary. It's like great. So I'll look
Thank
for any
you.
more of your blogs, and I hope to see more videos about you on your Instagram. We'll take that.
Okay.
So have a good week. If I don't
Phil,
talk, have a good Christmas. I'll send you a Christmas greeting before it, and just wish your family and all that. Thanks for coming on the show. I love your philosophy. I love your attitude. You're inspiration to me, honestly.
thanks, Philip.
So I'll
Take
just
care.
take care. Have a good weekend. Say hi to your family for me.
I will. Happy New Year, Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year too.